from Mr. Maher's office and started looking for replacement counsel. It's just that unfortunately she's not had any success to date.
All right. And so do you have any suggestions of how much time you would seek for this matter to be continued so that efforts can continue in reference to trying to obtain new counsel, and whether or not, if there is not any success in that regard, is there any conflict in reference to you stepping in? We have to see and work through it, see if there's any conflicts in reference to you being Rule 28 counsel, but with proper disclosures and the court's view of the matter, is that an option?
Well, Mr. Chief Justice, a couple of points. One, my office does not and has not handled domestic matters. Two, early on when I was appointed Rule 28 counsel, our office took the position that we would not be taking on any of Mr. Maher's cases. Of course, I serve at the pleasure of the court, but that's been our position in these matters. And so I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best outcome here.
Yeah, no, I'm just inquiring. I had to ask the question because of the report that there's been 14 lawyers contacted and there's been no success. This is not a criminal indigent defense case where we have a duty and obligation. And I'm just wanting to know if there's any way that the court can assist without creating conflicts, and if counsel is available and willing to do this. So is any recommendations other than just continuing this and having a status hearing, say within 60 days, if there's no objection on the part of Mr. Arreola, whether we just continue the efforts of trying to secure counsel?
On that note, I would note that during the hearings and the underlying trial in the matter, the Lujan and Wolf firm was still identified as counsel for Ms. Lujan. That's her father and her sister. They had entered appearances in the depositions, and they are of record during the underlying proceedings, although Mr. Maher had not formally, I don't know whether he had formally or informally substituted as counsel. The Lujan firm was her counsel earlier on in the case. She's had different lawyers, but during the trial and underlying proceedings, Mr. Lujan attended her deposition and participated. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson, have you had any discussions with Mr. Attorney David Lujan to see if that's an option in this case?
Not specifically with Mr. Lujan. My understanding is that the appellant contacted her sister, and the sister said that she was not able to take on the case.
All right. So to my colleagues, other than continuing this for another 60 days, is there any insight or any matters that can be suggested or any desire for further clarification?
I think a 60-day continuance would be appropriate. Ask Attorney Thompson if the attorney who returns on island in a couple of weeks is able to take the case to notify the court as soon as possible. And then, we can, even though we are holding it out for 60 days, could revise it and issue the briefing schedule if they do get a counsel available. And if not, I think the onus will be on the Miss Shimizu or Miss Lujan to find herself counsel and or decide to proceed without counsel if she's unable to.
60 days is fine with me.
All right. So what we're going to do is, in this particular matter, the court will continue the matter for 60 days and stay the appeal during that period of time. We will not issue any type of briefing schedule. And just so that we don't repeat ourselves for the other two cases, I am going to have the clerk call the case for the record, and we're just going to submit that the same disposition will apply to the second and third case for the record. We're live streaming this, and just for the information of those who are not part of the virtual courtroom. Would that be satisfactory?
Justice,
to any time?
yeah, I also have no objection to having the briefing schedules of each of the separate cases mirror the timetable so that they can all be heard and filed at basically the same time.
All right, that's Mr. Ariola's request, and right now, Mr. Thompson is not in a position to weigh in on that. That would be new counsel, but I would assume that there would be no objection, since that would make it more convenient for counsels to respond in this case. Well, in any event, the court had already decided the motion to consolidate, and for various reasons, it decided not to consolidate it. So, so that's the written order of the court will issue to this effect. And so, in reference to CVA 22-006, that is the disposition. I'll have Trina call 007 and 008 consecutively, and we will then on the record just say that the orders, same order as will issue in 006 will apply to 007 and 008, and then we will submit that on the record. So Trina, if the matter is concluded now with 006, if you can call together 007 and 008, then I will speak to this as indicated.
Yes, Your Honor. Supreme Court case number CVA22-007 and CVA22-008, Letitia S. Lujan, plaintiff appellant versus Stephen E. Shimizu, defendant appellee. Appearing for the plaintiff appellant is attorney Mitchell F. Thompson. Appearing for the defendant appellee is attorney Joaquin C. Arreola Jr. The panel consists of Chief Justice F. Philip Carbolito, Associate Justice Robert J. Torres, and Justice Pro Tem John A. Manglotnian.
All right, counsels, having concluded the discussion on CVA 22-006, I just want to state for the record, in terms of the remaining two cases that have just been called, that we will issue an order that also applies to 007 and 008. We will continue the cases for a matter of 60 days to allow the plaintiff appellant the opportunity, working with regulation counsel, to try and secure new counsel to represent her in this appeal. The appeal will be stayed during that period of time, and there will be no briefing schedule issued until such time as we hear back from the regulation counsel or Ms. Lujan, or the expiration of 60 days, when we'll bring this back on the calendar if nothing is submitted before then. And at the request of Mr. Arreola, the attorney for Stephen Shimizu, any briefing schedule that issues in these cases will apply in a similar fashion to all three cases in reference to any schedule, so that the matters can be heard consecutively. Any other matters to be brought before the court by counsel?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
None for the defendant appellee, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, counsels. This matter then will be submitted as indicated, and the court stands adjourned. Thank you, counsels.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Justice Manglotnian and Justice Torres, if you could just stay back, and Hannah, I would appreciate it. Thank you, counsels. You can now log off.